So again, great to have all of you join for the New Retail Fest panel discussion. We have a very interesting topic here today. And I think all of you are probably by now quite engrossed in different types of industry challenges that each of us is facing and the solutions that we are able to put together. By way of quick introduction, my name is Krishna Prasad. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at UST. In addition, I also have responsibility for our retail, manufacturing, and diversified industry verticals. For those of you who may not be as familiar with UST, we are a digital and technology services organization, and we are able to bring a lot of innovation at scale for the enterprise clients that we serve globally. Today, I'm excited to have a distinguished panel with me, folks who are all leaders in their own right and are leading phenomenal organizations. I'd love to have each of them introduce themselves. I'll first start with Guy Block. Guy is the CEO and board member at Bring. So Guy, if you want to quickly say a few words.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me here, Krishna, and great to be with everyone. And looking forward to the conversation. I'm Guy Block, the CEO of Bring. Maybe a few words on Bring, but we are a fulfillment and delivery last mile orchestration platform. And we made it a mission to help every company, every brand out there that wants to move from offline to online, scale up and optimize to do it the right way and be able to compete in the world of digital consumers. That's what we are here to do. We serve different verticals from restaurant to groceries and retail and even services, definitely logistics. And we're really helping the world to go through the last mile digital transformation.
Fantastic, and thank you for joining us. The next panel member that we have is Natalie Milstein, and she is an investment analyst at OurCrowd. And I think being one of the largest crowdfunding VCs in Israel, I think many of you might already be familiar with them. But Natalie, if you could introduce yourself and OurCrowd, please.
First, hi, Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity to share my professional experience today. I entered the venture capital industry right at the start of the pandemic, actually, when I joined virtually. And from the business development department, I produced and developed materials for our MNC retail and CPG partners about technologies that emerged as the coronavirus spread through the world and shuttered down physical stores. And these technologies came to reconnect the customer to in-person and online retailers and to strengthen loyalty. I have since moved to the investment team where I analyze and evaluate deal flow, particularly in retail tech, prop tech, and technologies coming from the UAE and the Arab world, which connects to my previous professional background in cross-border business and diplomacy.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Excited to have you on the panel and looking forward to the discussion. The next person we have is Ohad Greenspan, and Ohad is the co-founder and CTO of Namago. And I'll have Ohad talk a little bit more about his background and Namago as well.
Sure. Hi, thanks Krishna for inviting me to the session. Looking forward to the session as well. Namago provides or built a digital journey continuity platform, serving customers, retail customers all over the world. Companies like JCPenney and Lowe's and HP and Gap, some of the biggest retailers in the world. Every page, every session that they serve globally is deployed with Namago code running on it. We have a few products that ensure this continuity. Some remove the distractions of the end users to make sure that they focus on the right thing. We've done two company acquisitions, one that provides personalized promotions to the right user at the right time. And the second one just announced lately provides marketing automation, email and SMS to ensure continuity pre and post journey. 150 plus employees and growing, and happy to be here.
Fantastic, and great to have you on as well. So in terms of we'll keep the discussion fairly open, but I thought what might be beneficial to the folks who are attending, as well as for each of us as well, is to have a little bit of a broader discussion around some of the industry challenges that we see and some of the technologies that we see being most relevant in today's market. I think all of us would certainly recognize that retail has had some direct impact as a result of the pandemic, both good and bad, depending on which part of retail has been integral. But I think there is definitely a shift in terms of the expectations from consumers. So clearly the experience that, that consumers expect today has shifted away from pretty much being, I would say, significantly in store to something that is definitely much more online and in-store oriented, but they expect a seamless experience across those channels. But at the same time, when we talk to our retail customers, a couple of the key elements that we are seeing them struggle with are, hey, under these new circumstances, how do we continue to operate our business with the good operating margins, right? So for many of them, they've had to respond in a very ad hoc fashion to some of the challenges that were coming up, and they were not probably as fully prepared. And so that's something that I'm seeing as a consistent pattern. And needless to say, when you do all of these things with what's going on in the rest of the world as well, there is a tremendous apprehension related to security. And I think that's something that we are seeing as some common themes with many of our customers. So in addition to improving operations through automation and a more streamlined process, they're also looking to see how do I deliver that in some secure fashion. So I'd like to get your perspective in terms of what you're seeing there. So Guy, if I might have you maybe see and share a little bit of your perspective on what you're seeing as you talk to your retail customers, and what kind of shifts are you seeing as you look at the pandemic in particular?
I think the answer is in your question, and I'll elaborate, but there is a very big shift. What we thought will happen over a few years is happening within few months. And an entire industry is waking up to realize that online is not a nice to have, it's strategic for every business, period. Now, we're hoping that we're getting very close to the end of the pandemic, and it's just a question of months. But regardless, during the pandemic, more and more people were exposed to the online experience, which is awesome. And it's all about convenient, cost-effective, fast, reliable. And by the way, now it's green delivery. And you click a button, something just shows up, you're in full control, and it's beautiful. And people that never really experienced that now experience that. And there is kind of no way back. And you now have control on your time, and you can control your life, and that's quality of life, and consumers are adapting to that. I don't think we're going to see all of that going backwards to what it used to be. It might not stay at the same extreme, but one thing is for sure, the market is changing, and it's changing to take over that. However, it's a very different ballgame, and I think that's where the brands, the retailers, experiencing the most challenges because it's just a different ballgame than offline. In offline, it's all about location of the store, service at the store, the design of the store. All of that does not apply in the world of online. And there you have to do what the big marketplaces are doing successfully, Amazon, Instacart. And those guys are not brands. They are technology and logistic experts and just perfected that last mile. And they need help with technologies, and they need help with logistics, and they need all of us to come together. And I'm looking at Ohad now, and I'm thinking this is like all of us, an entire ecosystem need to come together in order to create an alternative to those that do it really well. Amazon, Instacart, all the other marketplaces. Big shifts, big challenges. Must tell you, this is why I'm here. That's what excites me every morning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you're exactly right. I think there has been definitely a tremendous acceleration in changes that people are expecting, might take a few years. It definitely took place in the matter of a few months. So Natalie, from your, you have a different vantage point as you're looking at, different companies that are potentially looking at funding and so on. Are you finding a certain pattern in terms of certain industry challenges that they are most tuned towards solving? And what are some things that you're hearing from some of the customers that you might be directly interacting with?
I've actually just read a Microsoft report that sums up the context of this really well. The buyers of retail software today are increasingly in the millennial generation, and their customers are increasingly Gen Z. And these buyers and consumers grew up in the context of the fourth industrial revolution. It's been 25 years since the internet has been a household name, and over a decade now that smartphones have become an inextricable part of our bodies. So consumer needs have already been evolving over the past 2 decades, but as Guy was saying, and as you were saying, Krishna, the pandemic accelerated this evolution at a warp speed. So today, the table stakes of retail have changed entirely. Consumers expect to find what they need in 3 clicks or less. They want same-day delivery, and they'll happily move to Amazon if they encounter too much friction. Also, COVID led to the emergence of many fraudulent e-commerce stores. So consumers, you were speaking about this apprehension of security, Krishna. Consumers want to establish trust. They want to feel that trust via user-generated photo feedback and other product visualization methods. The trends that I've been seeing, the issues that I'm hearing companies address is that customers demand immediate gratification. They need a frictionless process. They want personalization and seamless communication across channels. And they want to feel connected to a brand's values and a sense of community. And most importantly, millennial and Gen Z shoppers expect all of this to be powered by tech, even in the brick and mortar stores that will survive the pandemic. So retailers will need to adopt technologies to speak the language of millennials and Gen Z consumers, to predict their needs and desires before they're even aware of what they want, offering them convenience, a personalized touch, and a sense of community. And I'll talk more about the technologies later on in the panel.
No, that's absolutely spot on. I think very much consistent with the challenges that we hear from our retail customers in terms of the challenges that they are trying to address. So Ohad, I'm sure your experiences are similar, but are there additional insights, other elements that you're observing based on your interactions as well?
Yes, sure. So I totally agree with the members here. Also, what Guy was mentioning, today when things are moving from offline to online, many businesses are born online, but those who are shifting, they all understand that they want to be even more than before, like Amazon, right? To be as personalized as Amazon, as sophisticated as Amazon, as technology expert like Amazon. What we see here is that companies that are now shifting are looking for ways to take all this data that is available online and is not available offline and do something about it. So for example, to provide a personalized experience, Natalie mentioned a personalized touch, right? You know so much about the user, you want to give each and every user the personalized experience that's even much more important than the offline, because the user is alone at home and he wants to feel like he's in the store, right? So the ability to provide a personalized touch, personalized experience to the user, understand the user well is super, super important. And we see companies are looking for these kind of solutions, definitely.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think all of you and all of us have really touched on very similar kind of challenges that we're seeing. But one of the important aspects, though, that sometimes we forget is, hey, there's an element where technology plays an important role in delivering that personalized experience, like you said, that all of us have mentioned. But at the same time, the ability to then link it back into the operational elements to say, how do I actually fulfill some of that, and how do I make that a full experience, not just in terms of how I did the shopping behavior, but all the way through the execution, I think is an important aspect. And what we found here is, obviously, if you're looking at grocery retail, it was a very different set of expectations versus what you might expect from some of the bigger brands and perhaps apparel or specialty retailers. So I think, understanding that and understanding the nuances between those customer expectations is something that, we see as being very important for companies. At the same time, I think all of us would completely agree that technology is going to start to play an increasing role, or it's already playing a very important role in order to fulfill both that experience element as well as the operational element behind it. So from what I'm seeing in terms of the in-store experiences as well as during the fulfillment process is a tremendous use of, I've seen a very rapid adoption of vision as well as sensory-based technologies out there, the ability to bring a lot of that together. Plus, on the operational side, what I've seen with many of our clients is that they are looking that, hey, I can no longer afford to have processes that are broken, that where an organization is siloed. We have to have the ability to automate and streamline processes in order to execute on the vision that they've, or the expectations that they've set with clients or their consumers, right? So it'll be good for us to see, hey, are there certain technologies that are really in the limelight that you're seeing being more rapidly adopted during this time? And Natalie, I think would love to get your perspective first on this topic in terms of saying, hey, what are some technologies that you're seeing out there, for some of the problems that we've talked about that's being most widely used?
I would say the two types of technology that I'm seeing most frequently being leveraged in the retail tech space are in the realms of artificial intelligence and mixed reality. And the companies that stand out to us at Our Crowd succeed in taking these technologies one step further by mobilizing blue chip partners to adopt their technologies in order to stay relevant and competitive in today's retail landscape. So I'd like to bring up 3 innovative companies. The first 2 are leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning, and the third is leveraging mixed reality. The first is Clinch, which provides AI-driven personalization and intelligence, consumer intelligence to Fortune 500 advertisers like CVS, Staples, Anheuser-Busch. The company basically leverages consumer data across many different kinds of devices. So connected TVs, laptops, mobile phones, social media in store, to produce a targeted ad experience for that type of customer, that specific customer. And then unifies the information that it gets about the customers from all of these different channels to let the retailer know how best to reach them. So for example, if I've been meaning to buy a jacket and Clinch has already checked which nearby stores have that jacket in stock, but today it's raining, targeted ads today will direct me to buy the jacket online instead. And then it'll tell the company, the brand of the jacket that I wanted to buy, or the retailer, whether I like to receive offers, or if I like to watch branded stories on TikTok, or if I'm likely to make a purchase in the next 48 hours, for example. So this creative intelligence, as the CEO calls it, is powered by machine learning. Another company using machine learning in a very innovative way, I believe, is CB4, which basically provides retailers with inventory visibility to reduce the friction for the customer in person. So for example, Urban Outfitters, which is a very popular American retailer among millennials and Gen Z shoppers, has rolled out to 200 stores during the pandemic the CB4 technology, so that what it does basically is it uses data from the point of sale systems to predict consumer demand so that a customer doesn't go in looking for a specific product and leave empty-handed. So whatever products are highly in demand are also being replenished quickly and in an ongoing fashion. The other technology I wanted to talk about that's being leveraged is mixed reality. So AR and VR really help MNC, legacy MNCs speak the language of younger generations today. Because for this cohort, experience is often more important than the product. And so mixed reality bridges the gap between the in-person experience with its online counterpart. A word I found online that I really liked, it was coined, maybe invented by a senior McKinsey expert. He describes the blurred line between the physical and digital world as phygital. And so a company that really champions the phygital world is BeyondXR, and they'll actually be speaking at the panel right after this. They bring the branded sensory experience made in store for the customers online with web-based VR, with influencers, live concerts, and more. So these are the experiential branded moments that were disrupted when foot traffic disappeared. But now big name brands like Lancôme have brought on BeyondXR to provide customers with memorable experiences and to retain that bond with them, making the online experience more brand building than ever before. So I think I'll save my final digital examples for the next question.
Yeah, I think that certainly makes sense. And I think certain technologies that are important. But Ohad, as the CTO, I'm sure you spend a lot of time kind of evaluating different technologies as well and talking to different customers about adopting those technologies into their environments. And you probably have some unique insights into that. Would love to get your perspective.
Sure. So I would like to emphasize two areas. I will not mention names, but two different areas. One of them is machine learning and AI. I agree. So the amount of data that is available today is, and the amount of combinations you have to reach a decision cannot be today defined by rules anymore. So you need a concept like machine learning to grasp all this data and come with decisions that you might not have been thought about with rules. The other area that we see growing now is everything that goes around service orchestration and data orchestration. So we see coming that, again, are moving to online or born online, taking many services. Many vendors are coming to them. They want to grow. They want to adopt as much as they can in order to grow rapidly. And then they get stuck because the services do not talk to each other. Each service does something else, takes different data. So they are looking for ways to orchestrate everything, have all these services working together, write the data, use the same data instead of reinventing the wheel in each service separately. So we see that, again, we mentioned, Guy mentioned, and we all mentioned Amazon. The way that Amazon is so successful because they build a lot of things in-house. Other companies don't have the ability to build everything in-house, so they need to find the mechanisms to orchestrate everything to make sure that everything works in tandem and things do not collide with each other. So this area of service orchestration, data orchestration is definitely something that we see across the board in our clients and in the industry as well.
No, absolutely. And I think, those elements around service and, data orchestration and applying the more real-time insights and then translating those insights into actions is going to be extremely critical. And I think that's pretty much your bread and butter, Guy, right? So I think I'd love to get your perspective on it as well in terms of some of the technologies you see being adopted or applied.
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting what Ohad said, because when I look at that, I think before it's a technology play, it's really a data play. And that's the beauty in the world that is moving from offline to online. It's actually going through a digital transformation. The challenge that retail, I like to call it brands because everyone to some degree is a retailer, right? Even if you're a telco and now I need to send you a phone, the SIM card, you are my retail consumer at this point. But so I think every brand now understand the importance of connecting with their consumer online. And the real challenge is how do you take physical assets and digitize them so you can connect them? And that's a big challenge that we see. And that's where we see a lot of great innovation and technology, because once you digitize and connect every step of the fulfillment process on the retailer side, on the logistics side, when everyone sits on one platform, everything is digitized and connected. The whole point of automating and optimizing and orchestrating becomes a data intelligence game. And that's what it is. But the challenge, the first challenge that we see is how do you digitize and connect a physical world into a data warehouse, or data lake. So where do you put all this data, right? And then how do you build different solutions on top of that so you can use the data and help retailer make efficient decision automatically? And that's where you see the other side of that, machine learning and AI and BI capabilities, very advanced capabilities that you see, because we're collecting so much data and using this data, we can find now the most efficient way to always deliver to a customer, delight them, right? Delight them, and do that in a cost that is so sustainable that retailers can actually make profit from doing online shopping. So that's where we see. So I see AI, I see definitely machine learning, which is the foundation. We see the BI, the moving to, as Ohad said, orchestration platforms, and the focus is on platform. One of the great things that happened after COVID and the major investment in our market is that you have so many companies now, like mushrooms out of, after the rain. And it's great, it's a lot of innovation, but they need homes. They need places where they can actually not focus on acquiring the customer as much as let's go. The customers are here. Let's engage them. I think there is a great opportunity for consolidation in the market, bring a lot of good technologies together under a platform. So you're going to see more platform play in general. Two companies I can mention in Israel, just happen to see their technology and it excites me. One is Fabric. Those guys just doing robotic warehouses, and it's so needed. It's like, if you can pack 200 packages an hour in a warehouse versus 60, that's a major differentiator. Mm-hmm. And they do that, and it's exciting to see that. And another company is Trigo. And Trigo is digitizing the store. So when you go in and you take different products off the shelf, they actually see what is that you took. They understand the Amazon Go concept. They understand what is that you have in your basket, and then you can leave the store. But the more exciting thing is the data that they collect and how much more efficient companies can be in managing the stores and inventory.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think, Guy, you also mentioned a very important aspect that sometimes, I find a lot of the startups sometimes tend to forget is at the end of the day, you have to be able to deliver a solution that is commercially viable for the retailer as well. So it's not just about the innovation. It's really about the fact that, hey, can this model be applied in a meaningful way to deliver the business benefits to those retailers? So from that standpoint, Ohad, are there some specific learnings from your experience around commercial models and around go-to-market that might be useful for all people to learn from?
Yeah, so I think we talked about pandemic, COVID. Obviously, COVID was a bad thing, but I think it also created some interesting opportunities. For example, the way that you develop commercial models, right? So I think what we started doing, for example, in our company during COVID is to build our commercial models and to build our design with our customers. And I think we found it and now easier than before because you can do many things from remote, things that we haven't done in the past. So we look at our customers as partners, and we develop our products and we develop our commercial models with them to make sure that we bring the things that are the best fit from them, for them.
Yeah, no, it certainly makes sense. And I think, and Guy, I think you've probably gone through similar experiences in terms of in your organization, bringing all of those technologies and translating it into maybe business metrics that ultimately matter for the customers that you work with. Any insights around, how you tie some of your technologies and the benefits back into certain business metrics? Are there certain KPIs that you focus on?
It's almost on every use case, we're seeing amazing impact. And I want to take all the pride on us because we are the technology, the platform behind, but it's actually the credit goes to the brands that make the effort to delight customers when they buy online. So when you want to buy a pair of sneakers or shoes, or buy some merchandise and you need it in 30 minutes, so it's cost effective and it will get to you and it's reliable and you can trust it. By the way, 84% of consumers will not come back to you if they had a bad online experience. So if it's 84 or if it's 80, it's the magnitude of that number means that they need to delight it. So really hats off to the brands that taking these things seriously. They understand that online is here to stay. They take it seriously and they move forward with that. I think the main challenge that they have is the cost of doing that. And that means a lot of efficiencies, and you have millions, not even hundreds, but millions of different physical assets moving all around a network. And when they have the ability to digitize and to connect that, they can actually take control, and by that start driving very efficient decisions. So, if we saw on the growth side, companies doubling themselves during COVID, then on the efficiency side, we saw customers reducing 30–40% of the operational cost, just because they found more efficient routes, just because they reduced the number of drivers on a batch, just because just because they travel less miles. But all of that, those are intelligent decisions that we're making. So delighting the customer on one end, that's the big focus for us. If you're a consumer, you can now choose when, how, and where you want to get your package. In-store, buy online, pick up in store, curbside. Do you want it 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, same day, next day, scheduled, on demand, from stores, from where, you now control it. It's yours, your experience. And then on the other side, to do it in a very efficient way, those are the major impacts that we see on customers. And I'll just give you a quick example. We have a video on that on YouTube, but Nextel, now it's Claro. In Brazil, Sao Paulo, it's a phone company. Every time they had a customer buying a phone, it took them a couple of business days to deliver either the phone or the SIM cards. And until it's plugged in and activated, it's not yet a customer. And they saw conversion was not very high, and they went through a complete digital transformation. And they reduced the time it takes them to deliver a SIM card to a new customer down to 2 hours, a couple of hours. Mm-hmm. What a difference in their experience, what a difference to their business. It's just beautiful. And now the conversation is, how do you expand? How do you on that channel can give them so much more?
I totally agree. If I can add a comment, I think I totally agree. And I think the complexity that you now have online is much greater than in the store. So if you walk in the store and you walk in the street and you see an H&M store, you go to the store and you get the experience right there. But now, as Guy mentioned, you want to be on your laptop at home and you want to get the same exact experience as if you had the same exact experience as you had in the store. But for the retailer now to provide you this experience is way more complex because they need to delight each and every customer in different locations. So they need to be much more efficient, much more competitive, because the customer is not yours. You can just close the tab and go to a different tab and go to a different store. So it's much easier to abandon and to move to another store and get this service there. So companies need to be much faster, much more efficient, much better than other competitors, even more than before.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely right. And I think the expectations from consumers translates into the behaviors that retailers need to exhibit as well. So I know we are a little bit out of time, but Natalie, would love to get your kind of thoughts around some innovative models that you might have maybe seen in terms of how maybe some of the companies that you're working with are, presenting their solutions to retailers. Any insights into that?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot here about how to delight the customer and retain that bond online. But I'd like to touch on an innovative model I've seen in the brick and mortar space, actually, because so many pundits over the last year believe that these stores would be shuttered forever. So what we've actually learned is that over the last year and a half is that people like leaving their homes for some purchases, as it's an opportunity to socialize, to connect with others, to connect with the brand in a sort of sensory way. But on the flip side, consumers are so used to e-commerce that they will no longer tolerate friction points in a store. So not finding a product you came for specifically is frustrating, for example, and waiting in line for even 5 minutes is out of the question these days. Mm-hmm. The CEO of Zippin, which uses vision-based technology that we spoke about before with Trigo and Amazon Go for checkout free shopping, he told me yesterday that retailers today need to make a customer's trip to the store elevated and even magical experience. So how Zippin aims to do that is by bringing the offline world closer to the online world by digitizing the actions of a shopper in store instantly. It can, understand from a customer that picked up a product, looked at it for a while and put it back, that the customer has expressed interest, changed his or her mind, maybe there wasn't enough information there. Instantly, information will be delivered to the phone, maybe recipes for that product or nutritional information, something that can help with the purchase decision. And another use case is that after you shop naturally, you don't even have to check out. You just walk out of the store. Mm-hmm. And we'll be seeing this a lot in really high traffic areas such as airports and sports avenues this year, where lines are ridiculously long, customers are short on time, and later this will also be in convenience stores. I think I'll just end by saying all in all, there are a few key trends impacting the consumer mindset and needs of retailers that I've come across. Consumers have much higher standards for their purchasing experience these days than ever before, whether it's online or in store. Shoppers are not only becoming used to e-commerce, it's become such an essential part of the customer experience that it cannot be removed from the journey today. Consumers want their in-store experiences to be just as seamless and frictionless as online, and they want their online experiences to be just as sensory as in store. And finally, just as our work lives have morphed into a hybrid experience, so too do retailers need to bridge the gap between the online and the offline world with phygital realms. And this omni-channel experience just removes friction and keeps the customer connected long-term. So thank you. And if anybody who is interested in learning more about our portfolio companies that are shaping the future of the retail industry or introducing you to new technologies wants to talk, I am happy to speak further. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I think that's probably a good place for us to start winding up. So I think obviously we've heard some very interesting trends from each of us, and I think probably some common themes around how do I really bring more of a holistic experience to a customer. Perhaps I think we'll have to now get behind the phygital elements that you've been talking about, Natalie, but bringing really the physical and the digital experiences together, I think, is an important aspect. We talked about how orchestrating that across a variety of different areas is not an easy thing to do, and doing that in real time is something that consumers expect and retailers have to deliver. So we've seen a variety of technologies around it. And needless to say, it has to be tied back into the right commercial models that are delivering a better experience, resulting in increased revenue, resulting in potentially, reduced cost to serve customers and so on. And those parameters really haven't changed. So with that, I really want to take a moment to thank each of you. So, Guy, Ohad, Natalie, thank you for your time. It's been great talking with each of you. I know the time flew by very quickly, but we do have a limit in terms of the time, but I would love to have the opportunity to interact with each of you and other participants at the event as well. So thank you so much, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Very much. Great time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.